Check, check. Check, check. All right, I think we're good now. Not sure what happened there. Hopefully we get a thumbs up from our guys over at Bimini Shark Lab. Can you guys hear me okay over at Bimini Shark Lab now?
Hello? Yes.
All right, good stuff. For some reason, my Yeti mic did not want to work for me there for a second, but we are good. Awesome. All right, well, since nobody heard me, welcome Finbassadors into a very special stream. Guys, we have Bimini Biological Field Station on with us. I'm super stoked about this. We have a full house over there in a second. I'm going to bring him in one moment. But I'll tell you what, I saw a few pups there too. I think Egg was there, the famous Egg, so I'm stoked about that. But, all right, guys, so without further ado, before we get into today's stream, I want to tell you about a little place called the Bimini Biological Field Station. Everybody just calls it the Shark Lab, by the way, and it sits on a tiny island in the Bahamas, started back in 1990 by a guy named Doc Gruber. Everybody knew him as Doc, and he spent 10 years out on research vessels studying lemon sharks before he decided to plant a flag on Bimini and build his own field station right on top of one of the best lemon shark nurseries on the planet. And because of his work and the team that did it there, the juvenile lemon shark is now one of the best understood sharks in the entire world, which is pretty amazing. And decades of research, generation after generation of scientists have been coming through all through this one little lab. So I'm super, super excited to bring these guys in. Without further ado, I want to introduce them. Let's see if we're on. We are live, guys. What is going on? We see you live and clear. Without further ado, I want to introduce them. We have a little bit of a lull. Live, guys. What is going on? We see you live.
Hello, can you guys hear us?
We can hear you just fine. There might be a little bit of a delay, but we can hear you guys. What's happening?
Hello, can you guys hear us?
We can hear you just fine. There might be a little bit of a delay, but we can hear you guys. What's happening?
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we might just have a little bit of some Wi-Fi buffering, but other than that, we can answer some questions. There might be a little bit of some lag.
No problem at all, guys. I know we're pretty decent ways away, so I totally get it. So who do we all have here, by the way? I know we see Matt Wade. What's going on, man? Nice to see you. Who else do we have here?
Well, then,
Oh, I think it's not playing the computer over your phone.
no.
Did you guys hear me okay?
We lost audio on
Oh, that's okay.
the computer.
You can't disconnect your phone speaker.
Quite okay,
my phone
guys.
wasn't.
Take your time. Gave me
No,
some
it's
time. Let's see if I can pull up the settings here and make sure that everything's good to go for that.
Can you guys hear on your phones?
Now, we can still hear you guys. I'm going to text it in real quick. Can still hear you guys. If anybody has any questions for the Bimini Shark Lab, by the way, while we're doing some technical difficulties, it's always, when we're live, we're doing these technical difficulties. I checked this for like a half an hour before we got on here, and everything was going great. Then I had to unplug and unplug my freaking microphone. I was talking for 5 minutes and it wasn't working. So,
I'm gonna try to join you from.
let's see if we can pop on here. Oh, we got double now. Okay, what's going on?
Hey, Vinny, can you hear from my phone or computer?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Mine's not working either.
I can hear you, my man. We're good with audio.
I can, but I can't hear you, Vinny.
Give me 1 second. Let's see. Like I said, this is always some challenging things when we're going live. Audio source is and now we're good. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can.
All right, beautiful. I was just saying, it's always when you're live, things start happening and things start screwing up. I did this for about a half an hour before we got on, guys, and everything worked perfectly. And then all of a sudden, my mic just dropped. So,
You can. Yeah. Perfect. All right. I think it went back to.
I think we're good.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I think.
I think yours, like your mic, is maybe going in and out.
Yeah, you know what? Like I was just saying, like it keeps on for some reason not wanting to work all of a sudden. I did this for a half an hour prior to this, and it worked perfectly. But of course, when we go live, that's kind of what happens. So it's all good. No worries. We're here. We made it. We're good. That's why that beautiful edit button at the end always helps out, right? So what's going on, guys? Who else do we have here? I know we see Wade. I know Matt. Who else do we have here?
Hi, I'm Izzy.
I'm Tim.
Izzy, Tim, what do you guys do at the field station?
So we're part of the outreach team. So Izzy and I started as interns back in October, and now we've started taking over a lot of the outreach programs that the lab offers, like in-person tours of the station and online request speakers as well.
This guy's awesome. And is that also part of the Elasmo branch as well? Is that part of the outreach too, or is that something a little different?
Yeah, it's part of the outreach. It's also kind of its own thing. But those are a lot of like past lab members that are sort of continuing their partnership with the lab from like where they live now.
Nice. So if you guys don't know, the Elasmo branch, they're extending their reach not just to Bimini, but pretty much around the world, right? I think. And you know, like he said, there's some past helpers and biologists, scientists, stuff like that are going around and extending their reach, which is really cool. So I'm happy to see you guys doing that. But for viewers who never heard of you guys before, can you kind of just give us a little bit of a lowdown of what exactly you do at the Shark Lab, and how does a day actually start? What's your day to day at the Shark Lab?
Yeah, I can give you a little bit of an overview. So, I mean, I know it's kind of cliche, but each day is a little bit different. So a lot of what we do is right now getting people out into the field to see sharks, see the marine ecosystem with their own eyes, try to understand the complexity of it, understand, habitat importance, habitat protections, understanding sharks, trying to change their perception of it. So we get a lot of colleges, universities, high schools, and then also like general public people that have maybe learned about sharks, learned about marine biology from textbooks or from shows, but they haven't had the chance to kind of immerse themselves in the ecosystem. So we do a lot of that, especially during the summer. We're quite busy with those. And then we also do a lot of research in the Florida Keys. So we'll spend about like 3 months each year over there doing some research. So a lot of bouncing back and forth, but like with that, it means that every day is, some days you're kind of on like home crew, you might be, helping around the station doing things. Some days you're out in the field on the boat guiding people. Some days you're just analyzing data or going through, some of the like more administrative stuff.
Now, so how far away, by the way, is the Florida Keys to where Bimini field station is? That's not like a crazy distance away, correct?
No, yeah. So Bimini's the closest Bahamian island to Florida, so it's only like 48 miles to Miami. So it's pretty quick. Even on a boat, pretty quick travel back and forth, and then from South Florida going down to the Florida Keys kind of starts right there south of Miami, but then it's about another like 100 miles or so if you go all the way down to Key West.
So you're going back and forth from that section all the way back to Bimini, back and forth, correct? And I know that the mangroves are huge for your area too. So how far out does the mangroves go? Does that kind of extend out to like the Keys area as well, or is that more like around the Bimini area?
Yeah, so the mangroves here in Bimini are actually pretty small. It's a pretty like consolidated small island, which is part of the reason that makes the mangroves here so important and why we don't want to lose them. Bimini is pretty much the only mangrove island, like mangrove fringed island on the entire kind of western edge of the Great Bahama Bank. And so once to go from Bimini to Florida, you go across the Gulf Stream and the Florida Straits, which are deep water, 2,000 feet deep or so. And so it's going to get, pretty deep when you go across. And so the mangroves are really close to Florida. And then when you get close to Bimini again, but there's a big gap in between that. It's kind of open water pelagic area.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that Wade's huge into photography as well, and he's been taking like tons and tons of pictures. Are you normally doing that around the mangroves as well, or are you going out to like open waters and going to try to find those requiem sharks as well?
A little bit of both, but primarily sticking with the mangroves, kind of really close to the lab. Since we're very lucky of where we're at, we actually have really good mangrove habitat on either side of the lab. So we can just kind of walk out 50 feet and we're in the mangroves. So it's really nice to be a spot of where we can just go out, take pictures, and if we're lucky, even see some sharks right behind the lab.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, we do have some shark bites coming out soon. You know, the team down there was kind enough to put together a few more shark bites for, what is this, the third or fourth year that they've been doing it. So it's going to be really cool to see what they put together because they just getting better and better every year. You guys got creative with this one too, which I'm super stoked about. So I can't wait to throw them out on the Instagram. You know, Shark Week is obviously a month away, you know, by tomorrow. So we're going to start really doing a lot of, you know, outreach when it comes to our gram and different social medias. So you definitely see, you know, what they do very, very soon. But I digress here. So this is kind of as a question for all of you, and I'm happy that all four, like there's four people on here because I get to hear different, you know, different answers. But how did you personally end up, you know, doing this kind of work? I know that this kind of work isn't for everybody. So I would love to hear, you know, your backstories of, you know, how you started, what got you into, you know, this conservation effort, this, shark research efforts, things like that. Whoever wants to start, Nita, the floor is yours. I love how everybody just like looked around to different people.
Yeah, I guess I can start. For me, I would say, I mean, I grew up pretty far away from the coast, but my family would regularly take trips to like the beach and stuff. So I sort of grew up walking in the water, but also like sort of having a relationship with the ocean from an early age, and always had that sort of interest in it. And then, so when I decided to go to college, I studied marine science. So I got my bachelor's degree in that. And then while I was in school, took a few field courses where I'd go away for a week, spend time at like a research facility, go out in the field, similar to like what we do for our courses. And that sort of got me into like enjoying like just being at the field station in general. And then found this internship, thought it was something that I wanted to do. And yeah, sort of went from there.
Love that.
So I'm actually from the UK. So I grew up in a little place called Cornwall, which is by the sea. So I was really lucky that I grew up by the sea, and it was always a really big part of my life. Spent a lot of my like childhood rock pooling and tide pooling. So I was always really interested in the marine world. So I studied marine biology at university. And then initially wasn't like super into sharks, but kind of developed an interest in them throughout my degree. So I studied them for my master's degree, and I graduated with my master's last summer. And then after that was really looking to get out in the field, get involved in the shark community. And I'd heard about the Shark Lab for a while, so I applied to intern, and that's kind of how I got here. And yeah, loving it.
Love it.
Yeah. So I grew up in Florida, so obviously, you know, kind of pretty close to the beaches, no matter where you're at. And my mom was a marine biology teacher, so kind of trickled down, I think, from some of that interest, but also just really like outdoors, doing, you know, more field stuff rather than some of the like indoor type of laboratory work. So that's why I really like this, is because yeah, every day is different, and you're doing a lot of more like physical outdoor activities.
Love it. Love it. How about you, Mr. Wade?
Yeah, for me, I grew up in Southern California. So although I was relatively inland, in Southern California, you're always close to the ocean. So I would actually spend a lot of time there, going down to the beach with my family and my brothers. And I got into fishing at a pretty young age. And the amount of fishing I did was quite expensive. So I always felt like I was kind of doing science in a way, just figuring out what the fish were eating or like what kind of bugs that they're eating and stuff. So that kind of is what drove me to pursue a degree in marine biology. And then when I was in university, I actually came to the Bimini Shark Lab on a field course. And when I was here, I absolutely fell in love with everything that goes on here, and knew that this is a place I wanted to come back to. So a few days actually after I graduated college, I drove my truck home, and I've been here ever since. And I don't think my truck has moved since I've been here. So.
You don't drive anymore. You don't need that driver's license.
Yeah.
That's incredible, guys. And listen, I'm not sure what's farther away, honestly, the UK or California. I'm not quite sure, but that's a pretty decent distance away. So it's funny how things work and how you guys, find your way down to the Shark Lab, because you've had, individuals from all over the world kind of come in and out from the Shark Lab. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's I don't know, we lose track, but I think it's like maybe like 30 or 40 different countries around there.
Wow.
With intern. So yeah, it's quite international. And there's always new ones. Every couple of years you'll get another interesting country that has somebody that'll come here representing it. So.
Perfect timing for the World Cup too, right?
Yeah, there are quite a lot. I think there's like probably five different countries that are being rooted for right now.
I love it. Hopefully it's mostly USA. Hopefully.
So we have so we have USA, Canada, England, France, France/Germany, and then Mexico, all being represented.
Well, they're all just dominating every single one of those teams, so that's going to be fun. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but the game's at 10 o'clock tonight, and I'm going to be freaking wiped, and I'm definitely going to do my best to try to watch at least a majority of, at least the first half before I pass out, right? But awesome, guys, awesome. Well, listen, I wanted to kind of go into some of your research that you do at Bimini Shark Lab. Again, if some individuals that are in the stream right now don't really know who you are, the majority of your research is lemon sharks, hammerheads, etc. I wanted to kind of go into like some lemon shark research questions real quick too, because that's the longest research shark that you guys have researched. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that was kind of the iconic one that Doc was studying for a long time.
Sure. So some things that I've researched and educated myself on is that you've actually shown that lemon sharks born in Bimini actually come back years later to give birth to their own pups. So, how do you actually prove that a shark really came home, quote unquote, and why does that matter for really protecting them?
Yeah, so it's a portion of them will come here. It's not all of them that return, which is important just from like evolution. You don't want all of the individuals going to a certain spot. And so you have a portion of them that were born here will return. And the way you can do that is basically if you catch one as a baby and then say, so it takes them about like 14, 15 years to mature. And so if you catch one as a baby and you take the genetic sample from it, and then about 15, so it's a very long-term project for a lot of them, then you'll be able to actually say, oh, now you're starting to catch the babies of that individual that you knew were born here. Themselves, and that's mostly through genetics.
And that wasn't just like a year or 2 months, whatever it is. That was like 20 years of research, right? Or 20 years of tracking these sharks to see like that they actually come back to the same spot in the mangroves to give birth.
Yeah, because you need to be able to kind of track them through that whole maturity, which is about 14, 15 years.
That's insane. How do you guys keep up with that for 14, 15, 16 years? That is wild.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a big group of people that have come through the lab over decades, and so that was one of the things Doc looking at like long term, especially like the most interesting thing is that when he first started it, especially like in the early 1990s, you have to think back to like how expensive and running genetics wasn't really like a commonplace thing, especially for animals, and so kind of the foresight to even start collecting those samples over that long duration. Was really good to be able to answer those questions.
Yeah, so I now feel old now because obviously 1990. I was born in '89, so I'm officially old. So thanks for that, Matt. Appreciate that.
Well, I was born in '86, so I guess that makes sense for that.
Man, the back's hurting, the knees are hurting. I tried to go for a run today, I couldn't. It's one of those things. I don't know what's going on. I'm like falling apart, but anyway. So, the mangroves are basically, like you said, like a lemon shark nursery. we talked about the mangroves a little earlier on and how important they are to Bimini. So, what would happen to that shark habitat if the mangroves like go away, if they disappear, if they start to diminish?
Yeah, I mean, I can answer part of that, but the true answer is that well, it's pretty complex, but the true answer is we don't know. But we know it won't be good, and so it's very hard when people say like what will happen to the environment. And, in this instance, like it's very hard for us to predict because the marine environment's incredibly complex. There's a lot of different things. But some of the things we do know that when you lose mangroves, you lose the ability for them to serve as like very important storm breaks. You also lose a lot of the nursery habitat, not just for sharks, but for a lot of other species that are economically important. Sharks are economically important for the Bahamas, but there's other ones that are also economically important. So you have snappers, a lot of the flat fisheries, so bonefish. You have lobsters, a lot of them rely on areas that are like near the mangroves, near the seagrass, adjacent to it. And so when you start wiping out those habitats, it's going to have a pretty big impact on the local ecosystem, especially because Bimini is so small, such a tiny island, about like 5 miles wide and like about 10 miles, depending on kind of how you're measuring it. But it's kind of like a string of an island that wraps around, but about maybe at maximum 8 to 10 miles. And so it's a pretty small area when you look at it, like if you're even just looking at Google Earth. So if you lose the mangroves here, there's no other area to kind of pick up the slack for it.
Wow, and speaking of that, since it's so small, do you guys normally have, a lot of like guests or, people kind of coming in to, educate themselves on these sharks, on these mangroves, like for the Bimini Shark Lab? Or is it kind of like closed off to, just like the teachers, the educators that you have there that's actually doing the research?
So we do have quite a few groups that come in throughout the year. Right now, we actually have like a general public course that we're teaching, and so these are people that just have a passion for marine biology, marine conservation, and so they're learning more about all of it. A lot of our stuff throughout the year, might be tailored to particular universities or colleges that are coming down for a week. But in addition to us, there's also there's a whole lot of other industries that are also reliant on the healthy marine ecosystem. So you have like the local Bimini Scuba Center, a lot of people come here to see the sharks, go out and see the stingrays. There's also a lot of the flats fishery. People come here to go fishing for bonefish, go offshore fishing, whatever it is. So there's a lot of other things that are also tied to, for a small island being so connected to the ocean, there's a lot of kind of trickle down that's relying on people wanting to see healthy marine life around the island.
Yeah, and I do have to shout out, I believe one of our really good friends from the UK, Stacy, was there not too long ago from a company called Oink Design. I don't know if you guys know that name, but she is an incredible woman, incredible businesswoman, and she's been helping us out in our charity as well. So I wanted to give her a little bit of a shout out. I was super envious of her that she got to go down and see you guys in freaking person. I want to come down so bad. I'm like, oh, when am I gonna find the time, money, the effort, all that stuff? But one of these days, I definitely want to come down and obviously educate myself a little more on it and see you guys for sure. But yeah, super stoked for her to get there. But yeah, so we talked a little bit about lemon sharks, so I want to kind of move and transition over to the hammerhead side of things. So Bimini, I believe, is still one of the best places in the world to see great hammerheads. But some regulars like Skyla and Nemesis that we've seen before, they've kind of been MIA. And why do you think that might be potentially happening for those sharks?
I mean, it's hard to say with complete certainty as to what might have happened. We do know from some of the past tracking data, like that they were off the coast of the U.S. Were their last known locations. So there's the potential that they could have interacted with the fishery there, whether it's a recreational or commercial fishery. Not even intentional fishery, but maybe as like an unintended catch. It could be, for certain sharks, or it could be old age, at a certain point. And, a lot of these animals are going to kind of expire. Otherwise they would just kind of, we know they don't live forever. We don't know how old you get, and so it's hard for us to say like at what age that they're going to reach natural mortality, and if that could be a factor for them. But it is hard. It's unlikely that they just kind of found a new place, because the tracking tags that they had in them at the time were still they would have still had battery life in them. So had they still just been moving around another area, we would have likely had information from them, and that wasn't the case. So unfortunately, they're probably dead. We just don't necessarily know from what exact cause that actually is.
Yeah, it's understandable. And what kind of tracking tag did they have on them? Do you normally use like the sat tags as like one of your main sources of tracking, or do you guys use acoustic as well, pit tags? Like, what exactly do you use?
A lot of the sharks will have like multiple different tags. So the satellite tags are great, and they'll tell you like long distance movements, but they don't last super long. So maybe about like a year would be really good for them. The ones that we were tracking a lot of the hammerheads with, those were acoustic tags, but those have a 10-year battery life in them. And so for those ones, like, so for Scylla, Nemesis, some of these other ones, that's why we know, like, if it's been 4 or 5 years since the last detections, or maybe even longer for some of them, we know the batteries still would have been valid. It's just a matter of like, it'd be very strange for them to, find a spot that aren't covered by some of these regional, networks that are out there kind of listening for these tags.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I find it fascinating that, there's all this different technology that's out there now, and, you're utilizing a decent amount of that kind of technology. And I know that it's evolved vastly from when, obviously, the 1990s when Doc first started. To that point, like talking about these tags, talking about the technology that you guys use now in order to, locate these sharks and research these sharks. What's the one biggest, technological advancement that you guys have seen that has helped you in the process of, researching these awesome animals?
I mean, for me, I'd say it's similar to most electronics. So smaller batteries, which means you could fit potentially more battery power into the same size tag to get longer battery life, and then just improved efficiency of being able to like have longer transmissions or longer read ranges and things like that for some of these. So it's a kind of a gradual thing, similar to cell phones. Every iteration kind of improves it. You might get a little bit better battery life, which you don't think about, but when you're trying to track long lived animals, having a couple years or 20% improvement on battery life gives you a couple extra years to be able to track them.
Sure. And what kind of technology are you guys using for outreach? Are you guys using anything for that, or just kind of just like doing like an educational series with it?
Yeah, so I guess in terms of outreach, I think one of our biggest platforms is social media. It's a really great platform for getting our work out there and getting our name out there. Also, we do online calls that we call our Request a Speaker program. So through that, we can reach platforms all over the world, or organizations all over the world, and chat with them, give a presentation on anything really that they're teaching, or just about our work at the lab, and do Q&A sessions with them. So yeah, I think online platforms like this and social media are really important to us.
I did not know that you guys did the online courses like that. Where can we find that? Is that on BiminiSharkLab.com, or do we have to go somewhere else to check that out?
Yeah, so if you head to the website, I think it's under our outreach. Do we have outreach?
Yeah, there's like a tab on the top that's just outreach, and it's one of the links under that tab is just the Request a Speaker, and it has like everyone from our like crew or our station crew, and then everyone from our labs and branch as well.
Who's talking first? Which one of you guys are talking first? Okay, I'm kidding. No, that's super cool. I didn't know that you actually did that, so that's really neat. So I definitely want to take a look at that after we get done here, because that's lots of fun. I'll shout that out for you guys from the rooftops, that's for sure. Because obviously any kind of education we can to help out, that helps everybody. But going back to the hammerheads here, so you know, we know that the hammerheads are critically endangered, but for the average person watching, like, what's the single most useful thing that they can do to help the cause, to help out with anything when it comes to, you know, keeping these keeping these beautiful creatures, you know, alive and healthy and start to thrive?
I mean, I think
Go ahead, Wade. We gotta hear from you too, man. Come on.
I think just general education of the species is really important because, like Matt said, that they're very long lived, and so if just general rising ocean temperatures can affect some of their movements, that could drastically change, especially when it comes to commercial fishing seasons where they're located, especially in the high seas. So if these hammerheads are moving later in the year during these significant fishing times, and that could definitely affect some of the bycatch on them. But also, yeah, just general education and awareness is very beneficial because uh, a shark, like especially in the Bahamas, great hammerheads are very significant for ecotourism. So a shark that is live is worth much more than it would be if it was just sold in a meat market. So people come from all over the world to see some of our current great hammerheads, which would be like Queen and Gaia. So it's really cool to see people come from all over the world just to see these sharks swimming around.
Now, you said those are the two main sharks that you're researching right now. What were the names of them?
Oh, we're not researching them right now. They're just two of the names, some of the larger females that come in, and
Got
that
it.
would be Queen and Gaia. And yeah, so they're some of the larger ones, and they've been returning to Bimini for the past couple of years pretty consistently. So yeah, they're pretty common names during the dive.
I love the different names, by the way. How do you guys come up with these crazy freaking names that you have? I mean, we have Skylar, we have Nemesis, we have Gaia. You know, like what are all these names? How do you come up with them?
So most all of the great hammerhead names are actually named after Greek god and goddesses, and
Amazing.
so that's how we're able to kind of find these really cool names for them.
Now, whose thought process was that? Who said, "Hey, we're doing Greek goddesses"? Or
It
did
was, it was kind of like a collective Shark Lab thing. Probably I don't know, close to over 10 years ago now. So it was long term like Shark Lab project. There was a period where like people were naming a shark after their ex girlfriend, whether that's good or bad. I don't know. Like I don't know about the compliment or what, but you know, there's like yeah. So it was a bit hard, and especially when you're talking to like the general public and stuff like that. You know, it kind of it's a little bit easier, if you have some of these, yeah, like kind of more, I guess, kind of charismatic names for some of the ones that you're talking about, and the people are really, gravitating towards, and it helps people feel a bit more connected to them when they come here to dive with them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Hey, I'll call this one Veronica. You broke my heart. I don't know. It doesn't work out too well. That's awesome. That's really great. So hey, I've like again, and correct me if I'm wrong. I've tried to research a little bit here, you know, with some recent changes that have been going on down there in your area, and it looks like that the Bahamas permitting process changed, and you shifted a lot of work towards the Florida Keys, like you talked about earlier. So, what does that mean for the future of the station and, you know, the data that you guys are putting together? Is that going to change or affect anything that you guys do? Or is it just a little bit of a hop, skip, and a jump to the keys back and forth?
Yeah, so I mean, it's changed a bit, but one of the so the reason that we're actually in the Keys was there was a lot of connectivity of the sharks from the Bahamas, so it was a natural kind of question that we had as to where they're going and why they're spending time there. So, for example, like with the great hammerheads, they're only seasonally around in Bimini, so they're only here from about like Thanksgiving through Easter, so really the winter kind of cooler water months, and then they leave for about half the year. And the question was like, where do they go? Why are they spending time away? If the Bahamas is a shark sanctuary, it's great here. The sharks don't know that. It's not like they're reading the newsletter and understanding that they're protected here. So they have like natural drivers of that they're leaving. One of the reasons is like reproduction. water temperature stuff. So actually being able to answer questions of like, we know these sharks are going back and forth and trying to like complete some of those, like kind of life cycles and full seasonality for the species. And then it also allows you to answer questions in a different area. So, some of the life history traits of things that we've studied for a long time in Bimini might not be the same. The growth rates, the survival rates, things like that might not be the same in different areas. And so it's really important to kind of make sure you're understanding the context, especially for the same species, but in different locations, so you can really understand like what's going on kind of throughout their range.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I can't fathom, like what you guys and how you guys do it down there, because that is incredible work. I know it takes a lot of effort to do exactly what you're talking about. So stoked about that. But we do have a few questions as well from our shark elders, which unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. We were gonna have at least 3 or 4 individuals on, but you got Vinny Corpora instead as the solo rider, which is quite okay. But I definitely asked a few of the shark elders to pose some questions, and I think we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier with the technology. But a question from Dan. His nickname is Dan's Cans because he brought cans to our event. We only do land shark bottles, by the way, if you guys didn't know that. So yes, we're crazy. But Dan's Cans asked, what kind of advancements in research and technology do you see happening over the next 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah. I mean, so for me, what I'll say,
I think we stumped you.
No, I was just seeing if anyone else. So I think the technology is actually going to be like on the analysis phase. So now with actually like a lot of AI and just programming and things like that, there's a lot of things that you can data that kind of across all job platforms that people are worried about like losing their job because now all of a sudden a computer can basically process this data, and when you had 3 or 4 programmers doing it before. And so we're going to be able to answer probably a lot of these tags, produce a lot of data, especially if you're starting to have like sensor tags, and it would take people a long time to answer. Now you might be able to run that a little bit faster, which is good to get some of that information out there. I don't necessarily know how it's going to be for like implementing, just because you're getting more data faster, I don't know if that's going to change policy or change management any faster.
AI for good. That's not a bad thing. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know. So I'm doing all of our jobs here. So.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I know it. So a question from Tim. His nickname is Brosidon, by the way, because he showed up one day in a giant Brosidon shirt and, outfit in general. So Tim, which you guys actually met before last year, do you have any specific famous conservationists that inspired you to get into conservation? I guess that's for everybody. If all 4 of you want to kind of answer that question.
Maybe Brosidon.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a Tim here, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
We have a Brosidon there too. It's perfect. This is great.
Oh man, I don't know if there was like one specific person, but like just in school when I was growing up, there was a lot of Steve Irwin, a lot of Jeff Corwin. I guess it'd be them, but I don't know if there's one person that I can like think of off the top of my mind.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's just the classic, watching David Attenborough documentaries, seeing the underwater world kind of through his eyes and through his vision, yeah, it definitely sparks a lot of interest for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Steve Irwin probably, for, I guess, my generation, was one of the primary ones.
I mean, yeah, the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin definitely was a big. So, Cy Montgomery has some good books about conservation and the effects of it. So I think that has definitely influenced me as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Steve Irwin was something else, and his son has really taken on his legacy. He just ran with it, man. So it's really cool to see him continue like that, the efforts that his dad did. So not a bad name to drop, that's for sure. So love that. Let's see here. So a few more. So let's see. Who else here? So let's see. Do we have any chat? No, we're good there. So my question is, and this is kind of like an interesting one. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but do individual sharks have like personalities? Have you noticed that they, do certain things or go to certain places? And, can you kind of determine that as you're doing your research?
Yeah, so we actually have a guest lecturer here this week that is all her PhD, and her entire interest is in behavioral ecology of all animals, but lemon sharks were one of them. So a lot of the past work at the Shark Lab was looking at personality, behavioral traits, trying to understand that yes, they do have some. She can say hi if she wants. She's in. Yeah.
Is she
She's
is she there?
cup attire, so yeah.
You can hop on the stream. Come on over if you're over there. And like I said, I saw Egg earlier on, so I don't know if Egg's there or not yet anymore. But I know you guys foster a lot of animals, a lot of dogs. So how did that really start taking place too? While we're chatting about it.
Egg's eyes are looking a little bit weary. She's trying to find her dog bed.
Oh, okay. Listen, Egg, I feel you, bro.
Yeah, it's also thundering here, so that might, she's getting a little scared.
Oh, poor thing. I see him on social media all the time. So what's up, buddy? All right. What's your favorite shark, man?
He likes looking at the lemon sharks.
Now, do the pups go in and like swim in those areas too, or no?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, like the shallow mangrove areas, they'll like walk around like in the mangroves, and then a lot of the times like the juvenile lemon sharks will be swimming around.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool. And so how many pups do you have like on the island that you guys foster? Because I saw that just to segue into it, there was a vet that actually came in yesterday, something like that checked all the animals that you have. How did that happen?
Yeah, so it's I think it was about a week ago or so. We had the vet visits from Nassau, and so there's no local vet on Bimini because Bimini is so small, and so about like 4 times a year he'll fly in for the weekend and be able to service, help provide service for all the as many local like pet owners, but also some of the stray dogs that are on the streets. And so the Shark Lab is kind of where he operates out of in South Bimini, and then there's a spot up on North Bimini as well to be able to really kind of provide some of those essential services to people and the strays here. So Egg was a rescue, kind of a foster rescue from Bimini, and then we also have Matthew, that is a rescue after Hurricane Matthew. So he's at home sleeping right now.
It's not named after you. It's named after a hurricane. Come on, that was your cue. You could have said it named after you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Out of all the things that you guys do at the Shark Lab, they're also like fostering these animals, which is really neat. Is there any place that we can go if anybody's interested in rescuing these pups? Is that on the website as well, or is that somewhere else that they can go?
So keeping an eye on like our social media, a lot of times we'll share if we're having fosters, and then we work with what's called Island Paw Rescues a lot, and so like we'll also kind of try to help foster, and so they'll also on like their social media if there's because it's not, there might also be other dogs that are being fostered somewhere else, or the Shark Lab will have sometimes dogs too. Yeah, so either on our stuff or Island Paw Rescue, and also keep an eye on it.
Awesome. Yeah, he's a tired pup, man. I actually have a bulldog beagle mix that's upstairs snoring. I don't know if you can hear it, but he is like, he's a snoring up a storm. But all right, guys. Well, listen, a few more questions here, and once again, thank you so much for hopping on. This has been super fun. I was so excited to do this because I love what you guys do, and we've been kind of partnered a little bit for quite some time now. We love to support you in any way that we can. But I know that Doc Gruber, we said, started this in 1990, but obviously the Shark Lab is going to continue for years to come. I guess it's a question for all 4 of you as well, since you're here. what part of Doc's vision are you guys most determined to carry forward with you as you continue your research?
Everyone. You guys.
Go ahead, bro Sidon.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I can. So, I mean, kind of, because everybody comes through it. So, the internship program is, something that's, I think, kind of very, a lot, it's not unique in that other places don't, but I think the way that the internship program runs, so you're living, like working, you make like really good friends. A lot of times, I don't know, when interns leave, there's, crying and waterworks because they're, because like you build such like a close bond with some of like cohorts for them.
Sure.
And so it's really kind of like a really unique thing that you kind of do have like, it's similar, in a way, like if you're at college with the fraternities or, you're have like when you go to these meetings in the future, like you kind of have like a network of people that have come through the same place. And so it's a really kind of cool kind of like family feel of you might have a Shark Lab person that like you never met before, but you have something in common with them that they were here 10 years before you.
Sure.
And so I think we'll really continue that and give, future interns that same opportunity to just get like very kind of unique, like dirty, hands-on in the field, all aspects of like what a real, like day-to-day life of just making a boat work if it's not working, trying to figure out, brainstorming some of the critical thinking stuff of like how to keep out in the field doing the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, that's incredible. And on that point, I do see on Instagram and social media a lot that you have like internship opportunities available. How long are the internships, and when do you normally kind of put them into place to start the internships? Is there certain times of the year that you put it out there, or is it just kind of like sporadic?
For the internships, it kind of varies when we would do it throughout the year because we try to like time them up through different seasons. A lot of the times, like kind of in between like summer. So like a lot of times we get a lot of student applications. So students in between years in undergraduate stuff like that, and then we also try to do like a spring and then a fall internship program. And these programs range from like 2 to 3 months, and so they'll be at the lab, and then sometimes it's a lot of like research opportunity as well. But we also focus a lot on our like outreach and conservation as well.
Good stuff, guys. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm no spring chicken, but can I be an intern? Is that cool?
Yeah, we don't have any age restrictions. Well, people have to be over 18, but we don't have an upper end.
Definitely over that. No, that's great. Good stuff. Well, listen, I know that we talked about also Shark Week being right around the corner too. So, you've guys done some work for Discovery over the years. Can we get a sneak peek? Are you guys going to be part of Discovery's Shark Week this year, or can you say that yet?
I don't think we're on any show, but honestly, there's always like ones that pop up because whenever they filmed with us, like all the times in the past, they own that footage forever.
Yeah.
And so I know for sure there's going to be some Bimini stuff, but it's not going to be like at the Shark Lab, but it's going to be all the same sharks, locations that you probably have recognized before. So a lot of the content, it's like recycled of kind of, but you'll probably recognize some of those sites.
Yeah, I've seen it over the years, and it was so funny because somebody that I've seen from the Shark Lab pops on. I'm like, I know them. It's like it's so fun to see. But listen, again, we obviously all of our funds, all of our donations, guys. Everybody in chat, it goes straight to the biological field station. And again, all 100% proceeds go straight to that. So anything that you guys can help us out with our GoFundMe, or raising funds for these awesome people down there doing this crazy work, this fun work, that would be really, really generous of you. So you can find that at our GoFundMe page. It's actually loaded onto our stream right now, and you can go over and donate. Guys, where does this money go? Like, how do you guys utilize the donations that come in, to the Shark Lab? Is it for the technology? Is it for, food and supplies for the interns? Like, how do you guys, do that kind of stuff?
So I mean, the short answer is that the donations are pretty critical for everything. From being able to keep the boats repaired to being able to keep the vehicles running. Because we can't really do our programs without some of those behind the scene things of just keeping the station running. Literally keeping the lights on, power. So it kind of will go towards everything. And so we have a pretty kind of broad, budget of just being able to keep things running here. The Bahamas, just being like near the water, like near island life in the Bahamas, it's pretty hard on the equipment, and so it's also pretty expensive to operate. So by the time you ship things in, duty, but also like just the expense of living in a remote area, the donations really help kind of keep everything running.
Yeah, so like you heard it, everybody in chat. Definitely let's help out these awesome guys down here. I mean, we've raised a decent amount of money over the past years. We want to try to break the record again this year. Our biggest was around $2,300. We want to make sure that we're breaking that this year. We can send it all down to these guys, but I don't want to hold on to you guys too much longer. I know that you have a lot of stuff to do, of course, and you have some World Cup games to watch, as do I. So where can we find you guys? I know on social media, on Instagram, we have Bimini Shark Lab, but where else can we find you guys to see your awesome work?
Yeah, like other than the website, like also YouTube and Facebook is pretty much our main platforms. We haven't really broke into the whole TikTok yet, but I'm sure that could be coming. Maybe, I don't know.
There's too many platforms, man. So listen, I'm streaming on 4 different platforms right now, and it's overwhelming. So I'm with you. Oh man, well, awesome. So YouTube, we have Instagram, and we have the website, guys. Go give them a look-see and see all their amazing work. They've been crushing it on social media, to be honest with you. Really excited to obviously help extend their reach and to help with the donations and really help them out in any way that we can. Guys, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. I know, it's been about an hour or so now. We had some technical issues in the beginning, but thanks for holding on, especially in the thunderstorm. Thanks for Egg popping on for a quick, cameo. I'm so excited to hear that there's a Brosidon down there. I mean, we're just connecting, man. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. So thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody hopping on tonight.
Well, yeah, thank you and everybody for all the continued support over the years.
Of course. Is there anything else that you guys want to add before we kind of drop you off here?
No, I just hope everybody enjoys the World Cup. So,
Go USA.
Yeah, and the land shark.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I am going to let you guys go, but listen, I am excited to talk to you guys a little bit later too. So let's stay in touch, all right?
Awesome. Have a good summer.
All right, guys. Take care. Thank you again.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, listen, that was fun. That was fun. And I'll tell you what, we got a lot of questions in that short amount of time. Again, the World Cup is a big thing, and we had to actually break this out and actually move this to this week because last week we weren't able to stream, unfortunately, on Thursday. We actually did a special Tuesday stream. So really happy that they could be flexible and pop on with us, for this fun interview. And I'm happy that we had 4 individuals on. I thought we were going to see like maybe 2. I knew that Wade and Matt were going to come on, but we had 2 people from Outreach come on as well, which is awesome. So thank you guys so much. And listen, I wrote a little something, and if you take one thing away from the stream that we just did, let it be this: that the Shark Lab isn't some like far away lab happening to animals that we really don't know and don't understand. Because of their work and because of their research at the lab, we understand these creatures better than we ever have. And again, we talked about this previously in the stream, in the chat earlier. Doc Gruber's been doing this since 1990. It's been a very, very long time. And now lemon sharks are one of the most researched shark in the entire world. which is incredible. Um, so listen, there's real people down there on this little baby island in the Bimini, in Bimini, and you know this slow, patient work of actually understanding these animals. I mean, it takes like 5, 6, 7, up to 15, 16, 17 years to really get the hypothesis into and the theory into actual fact. So these guys are in it for the long haul, and it's really, really cool to see. And again, this work only keeps going if we help out. You know, Matt talked about this. It's super critical for us to, of course, help them out. The donations are critical to keep the Shark Lab running, to keep the lights on. And, we have a huge part in that. So I'm super excited to continue like our partnership and to have our donations go to them because we know that the donations are going to a good cause. So again, if anything made you care even a little bit more about sharks throughout this entire stream, you know, head to the GoFundMe, throw a few bucks in. Doesn't matter if it's $1, it could be $100, it could be $1,000. I don't care. It could be 50 cents. It doesn't matter what it is. All these donations go straight to the Shark Lab and to help with their processes. So, before we go as well, please be sure to hit that follow button for us on Instagram, on Substack. Follow us on Substack, on YouTube, and of course on Twitch. This is only going to help us as we further our processes here and just get better and better. The stream is not going away. I'll talk to 0 people, I'll talk to 1,000 people. It doesn't matter. I'm here because I care about this and I care about this charity and the organization and the funds that we raise to help out these amazing creatures and these amazing people. But I digress. Guys, I am going to log off now. Thank you so much for hanging with me tonight and hanging out with Bimini Shark Lab. This has been an incredible night. I am super stoked to bring the stream to you every Thursday night at 9 o'clock, so please feel free to hop in at any time you'd like. I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Go USA, by the way. They just started 3 minutes ago, so I'm stoked to see that. But hopefully we crush turkey tonight. Guys, maintaining radio silence till further sharkage. Thanks so much. Vinny,